What is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about why Fortnite is so stale this season. This is something that I have been asked about a bunch, and I've just seen the Fortnite community as a whole discussing about this and talking about this and pretty much complaining about this. If you guys do find this video informative or entertaining, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below what you think of this Fortnite season so far. Do you think this is a good season, or do you think this season is very stale and boring? So, for starters, I feel like pretty much every season of Fortnite kind of goes through this, or every season of any live service game kind of goes through this, in my opinion. The hype and excitement in the game is kind of like a roller coaster, you know? At the start of a season, the hype is really, like, huge, and the amount of excitement is really, like, high, and people are really excited to get on and play the game and grind the new season. But over time, that hype and excitement just kind of goes down until we get to, like, the midpoint of the season or towards the end of the season. And then they start building up towards the next season and start building up for the next event. And then we gradually like increase hype and excitement to the point where we get the new season. And then that cycle just rinse and repeats itself. And you can see this in the Google Trends of Fortnite, Apex, Warzone. Any live service game has like a lot of like peaks and valleys in between like when new seasons start. The peak is always when a new season comes out. And then gradually the interest in the game fades over time until the point where there is a new season approaching. And then you just rinse and repeat that every season. So I don't think Fortnite is unique in that aspect, and I don't think this season of Fortnite is unique in that aspect. We are currently at the halfway point of the season. You'll see from this tweet on screen here from this account that tracks Fortnite's progress, we are 56% of the way through the season, and we have 46 days left in the season. So we are well within the middle of the season, and it makes sense that we are probably at the point where we're furthest from the start of the season, but not quite to the point where we're getting the hype and the build up and the excitement and maybe like a few teasers and hints on the map towards the next season. We're just in that lull point. And for this season, the main attraction or main thing that was kind of meant to quench this or like deal with like mid-season burnout, as I would say, is that the summer event was a thing and it was supposed to be good. But the summer event was an L in my opinion. It didn't really had anything at all. People thought skating would be a thing, didn't happen. People thought there would be a concert, didn't happen. Even if there was a concert, if you're really bored and burnt out with Fortnite, would a 30-minute concert really change that? I don't think so. Like, it might be exciting in that moment, but like after it's over, it's like, what's the point? And like that was it. With the summer event, they didn't really do much. They added some challenges, and they added the ice cream cones, and they added the 0-point fish, and genuinely I think that might be it. I might be missing some things. I guess I added the skate park POI, but that really wasn't that big of a change, and I don't really know anybody that goes there. The summer event was not a big deal. In past holiday themed events, they've done things like 14 days of summer, where each day there was a different unvaulted weapon every day, and I think something like that would have been really cool for this season, especially because the biggest complaint we've had for all of Chapter 3 has been the loot pool and people missing old weapons. And I know there's also a lot of people who maybe quit playing Fortnite early on or who never played Fortnite, who came in for zero builds, who all of those weapons would be new to them. But like the way those events worked, there'd be 14 days. Each day there would be a different weapon unvaulted for that day. And then the next day comes, the previous day's weapon would be vaulted again. And then there would be a new one. So there would only be one new weapon per day. And it's not like they would stack, but it was a reason to get on and play every day. And it was something to look forward to every day for those events. And I think if they did one of those events for the season, it would have been like a huge hit. It would have been really fun to get on and play. Really exciting for people who missed those weapons or never got to deal with them, never got to play with them. And I think that would have been huge. But for whatever reason, they decided not to do that. But we'll come back to that later on in the video. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is that Epic is currently on break. So for the last 2 weeks, I believe, maybe 3 weeks, Epic Games have been on break. They have summer break and winter break typically. I don't know why they choose to have the entire company go on break at the same time, but I would imagine there's a good reason for it. And maybe it is more efficient to have everybody take a break at once rather than have people taking staggered breaks and just having everything not be as good for several months. Just take 2 weeks off, everybody. It'll be kind of boring for the players in those 2 weeks, but maybe it works out. I would imagine there is a good reason why they do things that way. Otherwise, why would they do it? So Epic Games are currently on break. That's why the updates recently, the past 2 weeks, have been really minor and really just like not that game changing, because they're on break. And that's why something like the mirror bug, which removes aim assist and makes it to where loot teleports away when you open the chest near the mirror, the reason why that hasn't been fixed is because they're on break. I'm sure when they come back from break, it'll be fixed very quickly. There's always going to be bugs in games when they get updated, and Epic typically do a good job of fixing them, but they're on break right now. It is what it is. Like I said, I think there's a good reason for why they do that the way they do it. And so yeah, that's basically it. We're naturally going to have mid-season burnout. The summer event was kind of an L, and Epic are currently on break. After their break ends, which is next week, I'm sure we'll start getting larger updates again and start to get things like building up for the hype of next season, because there's still more routes to come to change POIs. There's still the Dragon Ball collab, and then obviously they're going to start to build up for next season and build some sort of hype leading up to the event, and then the event will happen, and then the season will come after. The season ends, I believe, September 18th. So we still have a ways to go, but I think there will be a fair amount of content coming with the reality routes changing POIs. I know a lot of people have been let down by the reality routes changing POIs because they feel like it's the same every week or every time, and it just feels like eh. And I think the main problem with the reality routes changing the POIs is not that it's the same every time, but it's that the POI is too similar. When we had Logjam and Butter Barn change, I feel like those POIs were pretty significantly different than how they were before. Whereas like Sleepy, they just changed the houses section. If you like Sleepy, you're going to keep liking Sleepy. If you don't like Sleepy, you're still not going to like Sleepy. Like, it's still basically the same. It doesn't really feel that new. Condo Canyon, same thing. They changed the houses section. If you liked Condo, you'll still like it. If you didn't like Condo before, you didn't like it. Doesn't really feel that different or new. It's like the only part of the POI changed, and the part that changed still feels very similar to what it was previously. The next route that's going to affect an area is going to be Bugle, and if Bugle ends up changing and it's just like a pirate skyscraper or a Wild West skyscraper or a coral skyscraper or Roman skyscraper, but it still like plays basically the exact same way, then I think that'll be not a very impactful map change that actually makes the game feel like fresh and new. So I think there's a fair amount of content coming this season. I don't think the reality changes are necessarily bad, and I think there actually has been a decent amount of content over the course of the season. Like, we got the DMR and the 2-shot shotgun at the start of the season, the Charge SMG, the Prime shotgun, the Combat AR, the Hammer AR. That's like 6 guns. The Combat SMG being vaulted changed the game pretty significantly. So even though we haven't had many updates the past 2 weeks, I feel like overall this season has had a lot of content, and it is nowhere near as dry as it was like early on in Chapter 2 when we had many days or many weeks with no updates at all. So I think they're doing a good job with the season. I think the biggest point where they dropped the ball was just the summer event, and I really don't know why that's the case, because for all of Chapter 3, the biggest complaint has been the loot pool. A lot of players want the old weapons back, and they just don't find these weapons to be fun. And even with the event last season, they teased the scars coming back, knowing that players were complaining about the loot pool and wanting the old weapons back. The 2 weapons that people wanted most was the scar and the pump, and they teased the scar in the event, and then a lot of people took that and was like, okay, the scar's coming back. Didn't happen. And I feel like that made a lot of people mad, because if you know a lot of people are upset about it or want those old weapons back, and then you tease it like it's going to happen and then don't make it happen, I don't really understand the point. And I feel like a natural way for them to have some of the old weapons back in Chapter 3, or give people a chance to use them and maybe see that, hey, they're not as good as you remember, would have been the mid-season event or the 14 days of summer event. If they just copied something that they'd done in the past for summer and winter events, they would have allowed people to play with those weapons and maybe, you know, get that out of their system, or maybe even discover that, hey, it's not as good as I remember. But they decided to not do that at all, which is really bizarre to me. They chose nothing for the summer event, than having an event that had been received very positively several times in the past that also would have addressed a big complaint so far in Chapter 3. So I don't know why they would have done that. Like, that is really bizarre to me, and that is like probably the biggest complaint I have is, and the only reason I can, or the only solution I can really think of for that is that maybe next season is going to have a lot of nostalgia bait, because the 5-year anniversary of Fortnite BR, I believe, is September 26th. Next season starts September 18th. That's, you know, those dates are very close. So maybe next season we'll have some nostalgia bait and some old weapons returning, and that if they had the 14 days event now, people wouldn't be as excited to see it then. Or maybe we'll even get something like Fortnite Classic, which would be really amazing in my opinion. I'll probably make a video in the coming days about what I would like to see from Fortnite Classic. But yeah, I think that would be really dope. So let me know what you guys think of this season, and so far, like the content cycle and the updates so far in Chapter 2 Season 3. We're over halfway through. In the next few weeks, we'll get the Dragon Ball collab, and we'll start to get the build up and excitement for Season 4. So I'm sure that'll be dope. If you guys enjoyed this video or find it helpful, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and let me know in the comments down below what you think of this season so far. Thanks for watching.